Hi everyone! So we're going to answer another question here, and it's from Albin. So hi Albin, if you're watching. Albin asks, can you make a video on how you buy your spices, just normal dried spices from the supermarket? So I most certainly can do that for you, Alvin. I know for me, I don't eat a whole range of spices, but I have accumulated quite a little variety for myself over the years and stuff. But I know when I first went raw vegan in August 2013, I really didn't have a lot of spices, and it wasn't until a couple years into my raw vegan lifestyle and everything when I started incorporating more spices kind of into my diet. So let's take a peek-see into the cupboard, Miss Stacy's cupboard here, you guys. This is still in my eyes raw. It's still in my eyes raw, though I know a lot of you raw foodies out there most certainly will say most spices are not raw and most nuts and stuff are not raw. I highly agree with you guys. I highly agree with you. But you know what? You do the best that you can, okay? If it's up to you on how far you want to take your health and what you consider to be raw in this day and age, in this world that we live in and everything. I know for me, you guys, for Miss Stace here, I still like to include spices. I still like to include herbs, and I still like to include a variety of nuts in my raw diet. And even though I know it's not completely technically raw, well, in my eyes, I still consider it raw, okay, because I'm not deliberately cooking it or anything, but it's the best I can do with the access that I have to. So this is the top of the cupboard here, you guys. So I have my dried fruits and seeds in there, and my beans for sprouting, seeds and beans for sprouting, and then of course some supplementation here. But I don't take B12 very often. That's a whole nother topic, a whole nother video, because I don't even take the B12 supplement. I really don't. So the only supplement I really kind of take is vitamin D. So, but that's a whole nother topic for another video. But I just wanted to mention that because I know there's going to be somebody who's going to ask. So that's what it looks like here, you guys, at the top part. Got all my dates and dried fruits there. Okay, and then at the bottom here I have my spices and powders and stuff. But first of all, before we dive into here, I wanted to talk about the herbs too, because I buy herbs also, but not very often. Usually during the summertime, I grow my herbs like thyme, basil, oregano, rosemary. There's sage. It's so easy to grow herbs, and especially in the summertime. Especially in the summertime, you can grow a lot, and I know I do that. And then, sorry you guys, gotta take a whiff, the whiff. This is thyme, and thyme smells so good. But anyways, I like to grow a lot, and then when the fall time comes, I pick it and then I save it, and it just dries over the winter time, and it actually gets me through the winter time. So I had basil and oregano and thyme, but I ate all of it for the winter from last summer, but I got a little bit of thyme left, so it saved me a lot of money from buying the fresh herbs at the grocery store. But every once in a while, I'll still buy the fresh herbs from the grocery store. I think that's always best, because yes, there's still nutrition. That's actually the better way you want to go. But this stuff gets really expensive. Like for one pack up here in Alaska, well, in my area, it's like $2.79. I think like $2.59 or $2.79 for one pack. That's really expensive. So if you eat a lot of herbs often, that can get pretty darn spendy, So that's where the herbs, dried herbs and spices come into play. And but I know I also have some mint here. This was darn expensive for just a little bit. Oh my gosh. But anyways, when you want it, you get it anyways, I mean, how bad do you really want it? How desperately bad do you really want it? Obviously, I was desperate and I needed it. Okay, guys, so I'm going to start over here with my powders. So I have vanilla bean powder in here. I have cacao. I'm not a fan of cacao, okay? I am not a fan of cacao. I'm a fan of carob. I prefer carob most definitely, but this is a pack that was given to me that I'm just using up because I've never tried cacao powder before, but I most certainly prefer carob so much better. But for like my powders here, I have maca powder, and then I have lucuma powder here, and these are the only type of powders I've kind of really like, the flavorful powders I've kind of have had in my personal raw journey so far, you know. And so I buy these well, of course, in a bulk, you know, in a bigger package, but Amazon.com is where I get my vanilla bean powder, and actually my co-op market, that's kind of where I got my maca powder, but lucuma powder I get off of Amazon.com. It's much cheaper that way, and that's one thing. Albin, is what I do is kind of with any powder or spice, really, I buy in bulk. I buy in bulk because it's so much cheaper that way. Because you know, like these little guys here, these little tubes or little containers, these are like $2.99 or $3.99 for one of these. And if there's a certain spice that you absolutely love, that you use a lot, you want to buy it in bulk. And so I know these I have had since I kind of first went raw, so it's been several years these have been in here. So I have cumin. There was a phase there was a time where I was just so into like a taco flavor for a long time, and so I bought a lot of cumin, and so I've been using a lot of cumin, but I haven't touched this stuff in a couple of years now, so I'm like, oh my gosh, I cumined myself out, you know. But anyways, I have turmeric, which I'm not really a fan of. This has been in here for so long and I've barely used it, so it's still full. But I mean, like these and this is curry powder. I'm not really a fan of curry though, you guys. Curry's good, but I'm just not a fan of it. It kind of doesn't sit too well with me. Same with turmeric. So I kind of just don't really use it very much. But I do love paprika, and then I've kind of tested out the Mrs. Dash spices, and these were pretty expensive just like this, but I'm finding the ones that I love, the flavors that I love, I start buying in larger bulk, which is what I did here. I got a larger size, and it got it for much cheaper, of course, at Walmart. I got these at Walmart, and so the spices that I love, that I use often, I actually end up buying in bulk. Otherwise, sometimes when you buy there's certain spices that you kind of just want to try. Sometimes you can just buy just the little containers just so you can say you tried it, so you're testing it out and everything. But all in all, it's you really kind of want to just buy in bulk, and that's what I do. So like I mentioned in some of my other videos, I have dill here. I bought this in bulk. See, in Fairbanks, Alaska, we had a Sam's Club. We had a Sam's Club for a very long time, and that was my source for buying in bulk, all my produce in bulk. But then they left us in January 2018, I believe, and then by November 2018, Costco came up. Actually, Costco came over from Anchorage up to Fairbanks, so we got a Costco now. So that's where I go to buy some herbs and spices in bulk, and that's what happened here. Is my cracked black pepper and my dill I got at Costco. So this was like $4 or $5 something for all this cracked black pepper, and this was like $3 or $4 something for all this dill, and this will last me a while. But I mean, I'm in a phase where I'm just loving the dill and I'm loving the cracked black pepper, so of course it's always good to buy those in bulk, of course. So that's what I do. That's what I do there, guys. But like I know at the general grocery store, like stuff like this was I think this was like $11.50 for all this chili powder. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that was expensive, but I didn't know at the time. So I've had it for quite a while, but I don't use it a whole lot, obviously. But so it kind of depends on how often you kind of consume spices and stuff. And I know a lot of you raw foodies out there will say that, well, spices are something we really shouldn't consume because it can kind of irritates our bowels. It irritates our insides, and I kind of really agree with that too. But I know when it comes to kind of weaning yourself off of certain things, I'm not at that point yet. Even though I've been raw vegan, low fat raw vegan for about 5 or 6 years now, since it's 2019 in this video, I don't want to cut spices out of my diet, because I really enjoy the spices, and spices are a plant also. And I think it's okay to consume, but it all depends on how far you want to take your health too. And I think if you want the most optimal health, you would cut spices out. That's in my thoughts and opinions on that. I think you would, if you want the most optimal health, you would cut the spices out. And but I know I'm not at that point. I still choose, and I want to make savory dressings and dips and sauces and everything, and I'm good with that. That's as far as I want to take my health at this point right now, and because I'm still feel very good, and it doesn't affect me at all. And of course, like I said, there's some spices that don't sit well with me, but I just kind of stay away from them. But there's certain ones that I enjoy, and I just stick with those, and I find that I am completely fine on them. But again, I buy in bulk. So what I have here is, I also have cinnamon. I have cinnamon, allspice powder, and nutmeg right here, all from the bulk food section. And usually the bulk food, you guys know, in the bulk food section, or the bulk spices and everything, they usually come in like containers. Like, I know this is a glass cup, but I mean, the jars that I have in my area, they're like glass jars with a big lid on top, and they're usually, the price on there usually says like $16.99 per pound, or $25.99 per pound or something, and you go like, whoa, oh my goodness. But you see how much spice that you actually buy, and it actually comes out to like cents. It comes out to cents. So it's much, much more cheaper than buying this little container stuff. And you save a lot more money that way too, especially if it's a spice or an herb that you find yourself consuming a heck of a lot, you know. That's when you really, really should start considering buying in bulk, you know. So those are the spices I have there, guys. Oh, and then let's see here. I have coriander. I'm not really a fan of coriander. I got that in there. But as you can see, I buy from the bulk section a lot, because I have my tags here. I save my tags, like the nuts and the seeds and other spices I buy from the bulk food section. So I have my little baggies here. Here we go, guys. I have my little baggies from the natural food section. These are my baggies I use for my nuts and some of the seeds and some of the spices sometimes, and then get my little tags, and I'm off and set and ready to go to restock and refill, you know. Alrighty, everybody, so this is kind of going into a different topic now, so I better hush. I better shut my mouth off now before we go on to another topic here. So remember to love being raw, you guys. Put a big old smile on your face today. I hope I did that for you, and I'll see you next video, okay? Bye, guys.